introduction. Let's see. We'll wait until the video is done. So, let me introduce myself. My name is Matt Bergendahl. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I've been working in the field now for a while. I've been working in mental health now for almost 10 years. It's been a great, rewarding job. I work primarily with veterans, their family members, just helping them when they come home from the war and transitioning out of the military. So this is, a strong passion of mine. I'm also a veteran myself. I served in the United States Air Force from '99 to 2005. I was in security forces. I went all over the Middle East, including Iraq, Kirkuk, Iraq. That was my last deployment. I've always wanted to take a non-traditional approach when it comes to mental health. I feel that as people and society evolves, so should the ways we reach out to other people. And so, to me, having a stream that is talking about the certain topics of mental health, it just made sense. And when I ran it by Stack Up, they were like, "Dude, we need to get this going." So this has been a project that I've been working with Elvis, with Steph for a long time. This has been a long time coming, and this is our first show, so I'm really excited to get things started. Um, so that's myself. Cuddles, you want to go ahead and take it away and introduce yourself?
Sure. So I am. My name is Chris Case, or folks on Twitch know me as the Game Case or Cuddles. I am a full time Twitch streamer, as well as I work full time for StackUp.org. I am our Twitch live stream manager. Um, so anything that touches Twitch, YouTube, Mixer, any of those things, if it involves the streamer, I probably ended up talking to them at some point, or helped arrange it. I'm super excited for our stop program. Although I am a civilian, see, like Fred got to list all the cool places like he's been. Like I don't like I went to Kansas once.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Um, there wasn't really anything there. It was kind of boring and it sucked.
Oh,
Um, but no, I do have the opportunity to travel all over the country to gaming conventions, spreading the good word of Stack Up and talking to folks. I also, um, although I've never served, I've struggled with my own mental health issues. It's something I'm pretty open to talk about, and video gaming has played a crucial role in how I deal with my own mental health. Um, and yeah, sorry, I'm listening. Elvis in the chat just reminded us to do something. I got you.
oh, yeah. Thanks for the heads up, Elvis. I didn't know if I can do that for the Stack Up channel. Okay, so while Cuddles is getting that little part fixed, before we jump in, there are going to be certain disclaimers that I got to cover before we dive in. Also gives us a chance in case there's any stragglers that are getting ready to jump in so they can hear the whole spiel. So of course, this is considered a psychoeducational stream, and what that means to you as a viewer is that there's no counseling implied here. We do have moderators from the Stop program, which I'll jump in a little bit later, who can be there to assist you if you feel that you are in need. We have moderators. We got quite a few moderators actually right now who are on and ready to assist you. But with that being said, because this is an open forum, this is on social media, there's only so much, there's no confidentiality. So we wanted to make sure we get that word out and it's continuously cycled through so that people are aware and understand about it. But at the same time, I want to encourage you to participate as much or as little as you feel comfortable with. I think as you continue to watch more streams, and again, these are very topical streams. For example, our next one is going to talk about PTSD. Maybe you'll feel more comfortable with bringing up that information. Anyhow, Cuddles, is there anything else you want to bring up before we get started?
Yeah, I'd just like to just a little CYA for myself. Um, Frag already covered all the like official large stream stuff. Guys, I have zero training in mental health. Do not look to me, or any advice or stories that I tell is purely anecdotal. I have I have no basis, reason, nor education to tell anyone anything about their mental health. I am only here, kind of to help facilitate this discussion and to be able to share some of my own struggles as a civilian. Um, so, like Frank said, this is a great informational place to be. If you are in need of this, a stream like this will never replace actual quality mental health counseling. If you are in need of that, please get with one of our moderators, and we will do our absolute best to facilitate directing you in that direction. Um, but thank you so much for coming out, and I hope you guys enjoy this. I know we're really excited. This has been a long time coming,
Yep.
so this should be a heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah, and let me voice my appreciation to you too for the viewers. We hope to have to gain a large following, help spread the word. We'll have a more defined schedule coming up soon. So if you like what you see, please word of mouth makes a big difference. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Um, so let me give you this quick thing. All right, so I got a PowerPoint up. Um, we will not do death by PowerPoint. PowerPoints can be really, really boring, but I'm gonna always have at least a couple in there, mainly for the visual appreciation of certain things. And so this is no different. So mental health, why is it important? So we're gonna jump right into it. Um, okay, so let me ask you this. Um, when you think of mental health, when you see this diagram, Cuddles, what do you think when you see this diagram?
I mean, this is our that balance, the thing that myth or kind of goal of balance is the first thing that that pops out to me. The fact that we do need to, I at various times in my life have had wonderful jobs that I really love that are super fulfilling. But maybe the money isn't there, or maybe
Yeah.
there's a real long commute, or there's always, this is the mental health version of trying to find all the cool little balances. So I'd actually love to hear your take on this and why this is so important for us.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you for your ideas. That really makes sense. I mean, it is. It really is just a balance of all three areas. Now, taken for face value like soul. A lot of people, well, that's religion. No, it's not necessarily religion. It could be anything that you have a connectivity to, a connection, be it with a group of people, or maybe an organized religion, or with anything. That's kind of my interpretation of what soul means in my perception, my views. Now, body is a little bit easier to understand. That's our exoskeleton, that's our skin and our meat and all that other stuff, all that fun, grisly stuff. That is the cells that make up our body, that keeps us alive. And then we have our mind. Now, here's something that's really interesting. I had read a research article where they tried to find out the definitive answer to where the mind is. Now, this sounds like a very simple thing, like, well, obviously it's in the brain, but this is scientific folks that wanted to prove beyond a shadow of doubt. It's science. And so they got to do their research. Well, back in the old days, the days of antiquity, they said that they had two ideas, that the mind would either rest somewhere in the brain or somewhere in the heart. And that was kind of where the balance was. It was just one place or the other, or maybe both. But it's really interesting, and to make this a little bit shorter, um, they were interviewing neurosurgeons who were performing various surgeries, brain surgeries on patients, and through that research, they came up to the conclusion that yes, indeed, the mind does rest in the brain, although they can never find out exactly where or pinpoint it where. It's just there. And it was a really interesting article. I mean, obviously, you got to take it at its face value, but um, yeah, that's how that is. Okay, before I go on, Zero Hour talked about. He says like how I enjoy my job. The pay isn't terrible, but because I have an hour commute by bus every day, it's pretty draining. I can see why. Um, I'll give you when I first started working in California, I used to have to drive 2 hours one direction to get to work. Exhausting work. It was exhausting just to drive, and I was always balancing out: is this truly worth the drive? And it's like I'm risking my neck on these crazy roads. I had to drive through San Francisco, if that's any indicator of how crazy it was. And I just literally on those rainy days, I knew it was going to be almost a 3 hour drive. That was life until I was able to move. So I get what you're saying. The commuting can be a killer. Okay, so going back to the topic here. So the mind, the body, the soul, they're all intricate parts of the body. If one of them starts to fail, the idea is that the other parts will start to fail because that balance is no longer there. How does that resonate with you, Cuddles?
Oh yeah, anytime we find anything out of whack, it's like it's like thinking of yourself like a chair. And one of those four chair legs gets shortened. I know we only have three here, but it works much better if I say four.
Absolutely.
So do the mind math with me, friends. No, anytime you do have any sort of deficit in your life, you feel it in the other areas, and it's just like 0 hour was talking about that long commute. I knew by the end of when I had that long commute in my life, I knew when I got home, my family time suffered because of it. Not
Yes.
just not just a loss in time, but the fact that I was coming in the door like grumpy, a little bit more drained than I should have been. Or I'd have the whole car ride to think about how horrible my boss was and I hated my job, and or that last thing that that lady said to you when you walked out the door that really made you mad. Um, there was always there was always something like that in much the way that if you have a physical injury, and you limp on your right side. Like I've had a couple foot surgeries. I tend to limp at events. Um, that hurts my back. That hurts my hip. It actually can even hurt my neck depending on how hard I'm walking and exactly how my foot is feeling that day. In any sort of thing, we have to much like your car engine requires all these little tiny parts to be working together in unison
Yeah.
to be able to make your car go. Our bodies and then our minds also seem to be very similar in that one tiny thing can throw off the whole works.
Absolutely. That's excellent way of explaining that. And it's true. One little part, one little device fails and it can really throw things off. So the question is what does it look like to have that? I mean, we talk about, if you ended up breaking a bone, you go to the doctor and you go ahead and you get a cast put on or whatever they're going to do and you get patched up. There's no question as far as going to the doctor for that. If you are in a religious area and you're a religious person and you feel that you need to go to a congregation to feel that connectedness, there's no big deal. You just go straight to the church or whatever, and you feel that connection. So why is it so difficult when it comes to the mind, the mental health of a person? See, that's always been the root of the question, and because we're pretty good at taking care of the two, but when it comes to the mind, it becomes an issue all unto itself. So here's a really kind of an interesting picture that I got off the internet that I wanted to show. Um, Let me bring this back up again and show you. That's this is kind of what I think when I see someone who has achieved that balance. I mean, I looked all over the place. This is the best thing I can find. But this person has achieved balance. I know it looks, kind of new age, but in respects, when you have achieved that, that's that person who's found complete balance. And so that picture really made a lot to me as far as you know, bringing in and tying this all together. Let's take a couple of questions or comments here from the stream. Sergeant Devlin said driving home from a job can also allow for decompression. Ah, that's a good point. That's a very positive way of looking at it. A few police officers I know use that time to escape from their shifts and allow for that barrier and transition from work to home life. That's a very good way to look at it. That's a positive way, and that's a good way to look at it. Excellent. Um, the zero
Yeah, and
hours.
I'd like to on that. I would like to say we've been very much poo pooing um, uh, like commutes. And no, they can be a wonderful thing. I know one of the good things that came out of mine was that was when I listened to podcasts. That's how I actually became good at one or two of the video games that I'm actually good at, was using that time. Or I improved my Spanish like on the way
Mm,
home. There's also commutes on like trains where maybe you're not as engaged. Like I've always said, I think I could do 2 hours every day on a train because that's like 2 hours of like quiet time.
ah,
So it is entirely how you make it. And I wanted to say that um, just to bring up the fact that sometimes the things like that in life are entirely how you frame it and the opportunity that you make them. And it's really hard to see that in the moment, like really hard. Like I never see stuff like that in the moment. But looking back, I mean, I had this little bubble of time that I really could have used, and I didn't because I got frustrated about it. But let's go on. I'm sorry, I wanted to throw that in there.
no, that's good. That's good. Okay, so the next step forward as far as this for the stream for the day is to really kind of hit the issue, and the issue is stigmas. Um, I'm gonna jump into it from the military perspective. So when I was in the military, yeah, they had mental health there, and when an airman had issues, they would encourage you to go to mental health. But there was this huge pushback from your own people saying, "Don't go there. If you go to mental health on base, they're going to know everything that's going on, and you're going to be scrubbing halls and walls until they kick you out of the military. You cannot tell them a single thing that's wrong with you, even if it's something that happened to you while you're deployed." And so it was never encouraged, at least while I was in. I know that they've made some positive changes as far as that stuff goes. So it wasn't encouraged. In fact, there was the fear that if depending on why you were going in, you would have your information be given to your chain of command, and they would know all about your personal business. Not the best way to do it. Thankfully, again, things have evolved. Heck, even the vet centers can now see active duty personnel. Um, they can help you out in that regards, but the stigmas were always there. The military always pushed for self-reliance. Anyone who was in the military will know that, and I was no different. So, we were told to figure out how to take care of your own issues. And so that's why I saw so many service members who ended up like self-medicating with alcohol, or maybe with drugs, or maybe with some sort of personal thing that was dangerous to them now, and before it became, or before that, it was something that can help them out. Um, let's see here. Yeah, Captain Yoss, stay away from mental health. You'll get a negative marks on your record, and you'll never get a good EPR again. Yeah, that's just reinforcing exactly
See,
what I was talking about. Go ahead.
and this isn't even just like this isn't confined to the military world. Obviously, that's a large part of what we talk about here. But as our kind of token civilian, I'd like to throw out this is something that happens in the civilian world. I know when I was much younger, and I'm not so much worried about these things anymore. I talk about it regularly. But when I was a adolescent, I was diagnosed with clinical depression, which for those of you that don't know, that's the one that doesn't go away. It just always is kind of there. Um, but there was very much a like I wanted to go into law enforcement. That was always my
Mm,
dream. I actually have a degree from from Florida State University. Go Knowles. In criminal justice. It's what I always wanted to do. And it was very much, don't continue seeking help if that's what you want to do, because that's going to be on your record and they're going to find out about it. And they're not going to give you that job, or you're not going to get into that school, or, and I hate using the phrase, it's so often maligned, but the slippery slope. Um, and it's, like right now, we're not really doing anything for people that have a mental health issue. But what happens in 10 or 15 years? And that mark is still on my file in, this ominous imaginary government warehouse where all these things exist, right?
Yeah.
Um, but it is very much, I think people are scared.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
people are scared to get help. And I think we had mentioned this yesterday, and it kept on mulling over in my head, but especially people that need inpatient care.
Yes.
Like that's something you don't come back from, you know what I mean? Like as a reputation. And that's disgusting.
Right. It's like, you go in there for treatment to get the help that you need, and then it kind of just follows you for a while, or at least, wherever you go, especially if you disclose that to people. You're right. And it kind of goes full circles when you think about a lot of folks will say, getting going to a counselor or a therapist or a psychologist is just it's weak. People will say that, this is just a sign of weakness. I should be able to take care of this myself. And not to put down, anyone, but sometimes people say, well, that's just being a male macho. Well, it's not just the males; it's a male, female, it's anyone, any gender, and it's kind of like it's not just one side. I mean, I've seen plenty of folks who are like, I thought I can handle this on my own. So let me give you an example here. I would say 80% of my caseload back in California, I started seeing them right when they were in crisis mode. And when I say crisis mode, it means that they had just lost their job, or they're about to lose their job, they're just about to lose their spouse, or they just got out of jail, or they're about to go to jail, and they're like really freaking out because, oh, whatever I was trying to do on my own really wasn't working very well. I better go get some help. You can do so much more work, as far as getting work done for your mental health well-being when you're not in crisis mode. And so I always encourage folks, if you think you have an issue, go in there before it escalates. Go in there before it elevates to the point where your mind is just you got the blinders on. You've got the you're myopic, and you're just saying, I just need to take care of this problem and everything else will be taken care of. No, you got to look at the bigger picture. But again, what it boils down to is being brave and being strong, in my opinion, and just getting out there and getting the help that you need. So I'm looking at some of these questions here. Sergeant Devlin again is just that the negative stigma every time I go into an interview. When I tell the examiners interviews that I was in the military, they always ask, "Were you ever deployed, or do you have PTSD?" Wow, that's a pretty tough thing to be asked. I mean, I don't even know. Can they legally even ask you something like that? I
I
don't
was
know.
I was going to say, I would reach out to your local labor department. You cannot ask somebody again. I'm only familiar with Tennessee, Georgia, and Arizona hiring laws, in Florida. But yeah, no, I don't think you can ask people about mental health. That's disgusting. Like it angers me, some of the silly civilian questions, and that's wow. Are they asking the same thing to civilians? Like, so you schizophrenic or anything?
Yeah,
Like, I mean, like that's yeah, no, that's jeez.
I mean, they can ask you anything, but when it comes, I mean, I always just heard that you can just decline to answer it, and it kind of boils back to the preconceived ideas of veteran statuses in this current generation. Anyways, we'll get into that topic a little bit in the next couple of streams down the road. But wow, Sergeant Devil, I apologize that you had that. I mean, that just really kind of cuts you at the knees as far as advancement goes. I mean, especially if you want to be open and truthful about it.
Yeah, no, that's wow. I jeez.
All right. So again, kind of going back to it, the stigmas. Um, it we can talk about this until you know the cows come home. But what it boils down to is your personal strength as far as what you can do. Yeah, I don't know why his stream was or his video was frozen. It comes down to your personal strength and the encouragement of your support system. Maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's a family member, a close friend that's saying, "Hey, dude, you need to get your act together, get your life together, get it sorted out. Here's the resources that you need. Come on, let's just get this done. At least make one appointment and give it a shot." And exactly what 6ix9ine says, you have the power. You are in charge. Exactly. That's exactly what this means. You have that power to take ownership of your situation. And I tell all the vets that I see, I view life and that goes in one or two directions. Either you're surviving or you're thriving. And you need to make that choice whether or not you want to keep surviving or you want to start thriving. And I've seen veterans make tremendous progress, but it takes work. And again, it takes a support system. And that's the reason why, I enjoy being affiliated with Stack Up because this is a huge support system for veterans and civilians alike to get connected and to have someone to hang out with and talk with and play a game with if that's what you want to do. Um, so you're and so I'm always gauging, well, what is your support system like when I have a new client, because that's kind of gives me the direction as far as how this person is going to be able to deal and cope with changes. Cuddles, what is your thought on support systems? I mean, what does that mean to you?
No, I mean it's Betty's just dropped the hashtag stack up as your backup.
Yeah.
I think that in our new kind of Internet of Things sort of world, um, our ability to connect with and find the people that are like us and that like us has become an absolute like blessing. I have some of my closest friends and my support system. Like we could take out a globe, and I need like I don't know about a dozen or so pins to put all over the world and all over the U.S. And I think that's really being able to and there's the key that 6ix9ine just said in chat. Don't isolate yourself. Um,
Oh, yeah.
and as long as you can take that one step, I can promise you today, with the internet, with gaming being all over the place, I promise you can find other people that are like you. I don't care what it is that you're into. You're an 18-year-old vegan that's into knitting. You're Wiccan, and you only talk to people named Philip.
There you go.
I promise you, there is a subreddit for that, like out there. Like somewhere there's a group that you can connect with, and finding being able to find that support group, for me has meant reaching outside of like my local community. But having that available has also been absolutely incredible.
Excellent, excellent. I like the way you look at it, and that's what it boils down to: is who are the people you could, you know, be connected with. Um, let's see. let's see, the ability to connect over the internet has definitely helped. 20 years ago, you were kind of isolated to the pockets of people around you, but now you have access to so many more people out there. That's true. I mean, it's cool to know that, if I'm in a funk or if I'm having a bad day, and I usually talk to my wife about it. But if I need a vent and she's not around, I get on and I talk to my friends, and I talk to the friends that are on Discord, and we all, they're here to listen to me. They're there to show signs of encouragement. Elvis and Steph, they've been, and 6ix9ine, they've been huge help with the things that are going on. And so that's the benefit of that social support. And also, they're the ones that you're gonna more apt to listen to. If I told my one of my close friend, uh, D, he's actually on the stream right now listening. I said, "Hey, dude, you really need to check this out. This is going to be for your benefit. You know, give it a go." He's going to be probably more in tune to listening to me than just some random stranger saying, "Hey, go get your act together." You know, sorry, I'm using you as a sorry, I'm using you as an example, D. Anyhow, he lives in South Dakota now, and I'm out here in Washington. But because of Discord and because of stuff like Stack Up, we can still remain connected, and that's really important to me, because he's my best friend, and so we get to hang out and do that stuff. I like that quote from Sergeant Devil. He said, "The worst loneliness is not to be comfortable with yourself." That's from Mark Twain. That's a really good one, and I really think that that's important, and it reminds me of. And I'll let Cuddles take over in a second. That reminds me of a saying that my old philosophy teacher. She was a really cool lady. She was definitely one of those from the hippie era because just the way she talked. Great lady. She says you have to be comfortable in your own skin and to be by yourself. And once you can do that, then you can reach out to other people. And I kind of see it in the reverse way because we need that connectivity. But if we are having that inner turmoil, how hard, I mean, it's just going to make things harder to reach out to other people. Um, all right, so Cuddles, what do you got?
No, I love like Strikeath here in chat. The Discord app has been pivotal to me in so many ways. I met the game case on Twitch, hopped into his Discord, found out about Stack Up, and eventually joined up in the community here. Also, Strikeath, I love that. Awesome. I wanna argue with. I met the game case. I believe you pummeled me into like submission, like 58 matches in a row playing some Dreadnought, if I remember that correctly. Strikeouts was part of one of the like top tier, excuse me, Dreadnought teams. And yeah, no, he beat me up really bad. Then he came to my Twitch chat. He hasn't left since. Awesome guy. But no, the like just being able to connect like that. Um, it's beautiful that we have these tools at our fingertips right now.
Excellent. So I want to. Okay, so we're going to open up the floor in a little bit here to answer more of your questions or just to kind of bounce off your guys' thoughts. But so I want to start wrapping up the actual formal presentation. And check out this PowerPoint. Here we go. One last slide, I swear. All right, so I'm going to read this quote and then I'm going to give you some background on this guy. All right, so we all need our soldiers and leaders to approach mental health like we do physical health. No one would ever question or ever even hesitate to seeking a physician to take care of their broken limb or gunshot wound or shrapnel or something of that order. We need to take the same approach towards mental health. And I want to give you kind of a background is that when the war in Iraq kicked off, there were two high-ranking generals, this guy being one of them, Brigadier General Gary S. Patton. I'm kind of curious if he's related to the actual Patton, General Patton, but neither here nor there. He was one of the two to kind of step forward and say, hey, even though I'm a general and I'm way high up on the totem pole, I am a human just like anybody else. I've witnessed the horrors of war just like any other troop on the ground, and I too need help. And this guy kind of made himself the poster child of of PTSD, at least in the army branch. And he kind of stood up for those who were seeking help and said, look, if I can do it, you can do it. And don't let your rank or your position always be a factor in getting the help you need. And so this guy did it, and he ended up getting the help that he needed. And I'm hoping for his sake that things are going good for him. I didn't do any follow up reading. I just looking for his name and that quote that I had seen a long time ago. And I thought that was very impressive that he did that. Took a lot of courage, a lot of bravery to do something like that. Um, okay, look, the 0 Hour said there's a local state rep that's been super open about his depression. Well, that's pretty good. That's really good. Zero, does he like talk about it, or do they talk about it like in an open forum, or how do they do that?
I would also like to break in with the news that General Gary S. Patton has no actual relationship to General George Patton.
Oh, all right.
Also had a S in his name.
Oh.
At least not that I'm like seeing through 30 seconds of Google searching. He
All right.
he wasn't one of his kids, so I'm gonna guess. I don't know because I guess he'd be a grandkid.
Maybe.
All right, hold on. We're going back to the Google.
Google's to the rescue. Strike has got another one here. I think we need to get past the point where there's a stigma towards mental health. Nobody is happy 100% of the time. That's true. I that would be kind of scary if you were happy all the time. We all have our ups and downs, and it needs to be okay to seek help about the down period without fear of repercussions. That's exactly right. This day and age, I mean, it's been kind of an open air to question what is sanity, what is normal. Well, there really is no definition of it, at least none that I've seen. And hell, the DSM-5, it's this huge book that we use to diagnose folks with. They keep adding more and more stuff. And I'll bring this, and I mention this because they had just recently put in there a clinical diagnosis for addiction to caffeine. So you might be able to think you're the most everything is just going perfect in your life and nothing's wrong, but hey, we can diagnose you with caffeine addiction. So my point of saying all that is to say that there's no perfect person. Everybody has their quirks. Everybody has their uniqueness that makes them who they are. Not everything is diagnosable, but when it comes to feeling happy and sad, those are two very valid things, and we must not allow ourselves to push down or push away acknowledging those feelings. And I think it's very important because I mean, if you don't, it just gets it's like a pressure cooker. And I'm sure you've heard that analogy before, but it's true, and it's going to find its way to seep out somehow. And that's when we start seeing the isolation. That's when we see the withdrawal, things like that. Uh, Cuddles, what do you got?
I would say yeah. Like I had a really great like anecdote about exactly what we were talking about like not bottling things up. It's completely out of my head. So yeah, let me just say like you gotta release the pressure valve like at
Absolutely.
some point. And that's really what it is. And whether that is whatever constructive way you have to deal with it, um, you have to do that. Whether it's talking to somebody else or going for a run or meditating or I don't know, jumping into COD and blowing some zombies away.
There you go.
Whatever that is, you have to pay attention um, to how you're feeling and to where it's so easy to put our heads down and grind through life. Um,
Yes.
take a step back. and ask yourself really, truly, and honestly, um, how am I? How am I doing? And not like, oh yeah, I'm great. How are you, Rob? Like, all right, see you in the 11 o'clock meeting. No, like legit, how are you doing? And have that real conversation with yourself. If you need to do that via journaling, if you need to do that via like meditation or I don't know, worm grunting. That's the thing. People do it. Look it up on the
I've
internet.
seen it.
It's actually really cool. You should all look up worm grunting. It's a really cool pastime. But no, whatever it is that you need to do, take that time to reflect on yourself and make sure that you're okay.
Yeah, Sergeant Devil, I saw that photo that you posted up. Bike riding. That is a great way, another great way to let the pressure off. That was cool that you guys kind of got that going on in your area. Yeah, we all find different ways to release the steam, and doing those self checks is very important for all of us. And say, am I really doing okay? And then, like Cuddle said, if I'm not doing okay, what is the source of it? And if it's something that's very situational, maybe it's a little bit easier to explain and understand. But when it's not, or even if it is, and you just don't feel like you're coping with it, that's when I encourage folks to reach out and find that help. Someone to talk to. That's what we have stack up in the stop program. That's the reason why I always tell the veterans that I counsel, make sure you have at least that one person that you can call when it really hits the fan, because that's what we need, and that's what everyone needs. It's not just veterans, it's everybody. It's everybody that's in this country, in the world, in fact, because let's face it, it's not just America that has this issue with mental health. It's everywhere. And I read examples all the time of people just losing it and then really making unhealthy choices. And I'm going to go back to what Six said, because I think it was Six who mentioned one thing. He said that, well, we also need to understand that people need to be held accountable for what they do, even if they have a diagnosis. That's true. That's very true, and that's kind of the other part of the coin, is to make sure that we hold people accountable. But what it all wraps up into in one tight package is, again, the balance of mind, body, and soul. And how are you? And I challenge everyone who's watching this, what are you doing to try and achieve that balance? And what are you doing to establish that equilibrium? And if you are doing it, how does that how does that influence your life? Is it more easier? Is it more relaxing? Is it more positive? And if you're not doing it, you know, maybe give yourself that challenge to see what it can do for you. Okay, so like I promised, I wanted to open up the ground for more questions. Um, Cuddles, you want to grab one?
Sure, sure. See, I hate when people say I'm addicted. Yeah, we'll we'll leave that one alone, Wobbles. My favorite thing is hiking. Michelle, I love that you love that. A couple of miles 4 times a week. I wish I had the time for that. I really do. Hiking was. I need to. I'll admit something, guys. I don't have a good break activity right now. For me, it was always gaming, and now I've turned gaming into something that I do for a living. Both professionally with Stack Up and personally with my channel. So it's funny. I used to come and sit down at this desk to relax, but now this desk is work. And when I'm not working on one of the works, it's the other work. Like this is my office. I don't have a good break activity. So I want to thank you guys for sharing yours because I need one. I need one. Um, I'm more productive when I take time off to hike.
Very nice, very excellent. And there's so many benefits, and I'm sure industrial psychology, they're always talking about the benefits of being out there in the forest, being out there amongst the trees, and as far as what it does for your overall well-being. Um, 6ix9ine, you brought up something very interesting. Is it just me, our normal day-to-day coping mechanisms now become a diagnosable addiction, like gaming, coffee, working out. Where is the line? See that, and I'm not to jump too deep into it, but um, the DSM, from the way I interpret it, the way I was taught it in my master's program, the DSM is really only there for insurance purposes. Okay, so if I had a private practice and you walked into my office and you say, I really need to get some help. I have depression and or no, maybe we'll up the ante. I think I'm bipolar, and I'm also I drink like 4 or 5 cups of coffee every day. What we were always taught is that when or if you had to put a diagnosis on somebody, you always put the least stigmatizing diagnosis on there. So with that, I would put down this gentleman is addicted to coffee, caffeine, and we would conduct our sessions with insurance companies, getting their doing what they need to do, being satisfied, and the person getting the help that they need. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's just what we were taught. I'm very fortunate that I don't really have to worry too much about diagnosis, but I can see what you're saying. It's like everything that we enjoy in life is starting to be, boxed in to these little categories, but it really doesn't look that way. It doesn't have to look that way. Um, it's just science trying to make sense of human behaviors. If that works for you.
Yeah, no, and it's very true that there's many things like that that are getting stigmatized. Um, some of them rightly so, like smoking. Don't do it, kids. It's bad for you. Um, some of them like workout addiction, and but see, the thing is, I've through my past being involved in the fitness industry. I was a triathlete for several years, and my wife is a certified personal trainer. So we lived in that. There is definitely workout addiction out there, and it can get to a point of being dangerous. But I think it's very much anything in excess can end up being a negative. Um, going back to kind of the theme of the whole episode, you have to have balance.
Yes.
Without darkness, there is no light, um, and without light, there's no darkness. Or maybe there's always darkness. I don't know. You guys know what I'm saying. But really, it takes a balance in all things, um, or any one thing can turn out to be destructive.
Very well put. Very well said. Um, okay, so any questions or comments that you guys have? It's been pretty much throughout the entire stream, but it's opened up for you guys as far as what you would like to come across and talk about. We've had some really good conversations so far. Let's try and keep this rolling. Um, Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate it. This has been a really great experience. Again, we're going to keep this up. I think we can definitely provide a good service for the viewers out there, all you folks. Um, like I said, just stay tuned. We will keep up a more uh, regimented schedule, and I'll have that posted up soon. Okay, 6 9. What would be the best way to seek this balance? That's a good question, and there really is no specific answer. I'm going to give you the same answer I would give someone else. This is, well, what would you be able to do to find that balance? What does that look like for you? For me, it's spending equal time with my family, maybe being outside, going for walks, playing a video game at night if I'm feeling up to it. It to me that's my balance. But for you, it could be something completely different, and again, that's the challenge that is taking the step beyond is to say, well, what can I do? Some people will sit down and take inventory of the things that they enjoy doing, and then they say, okay, this is going to give me the balance for the body, balance for the soul, balance for the mind, and then work it out that way. But there really is no set answer. It's going to be different, and it's going to be unique for every person, and that's important because everybody's different. Cuddles, what are your thoughts on that?
So I'm gonna flip the table over real quick because I've actually I've given a talk several times called "The Myth of Balance," um, and I truly think like realizing that balance is a goal that we should all seek to achieve, but realize that in seeking it, that alone is part of the journey. And also that being off balance sometimes is okay as long as you're making the realization that you're going off balance. You know why. Any concerned parties, be it your family or business associates, things like that, know about the that you're going off balance and that there's a into it at some point. I very much like the idea of seasons in your life, and going off balance for a season is okay. For the military folks out there, I have never been to boot camp or whatever your respective branch of service. I don't even know if other services don't call it boot camp. I imagine they don't. Can Do other services not call it boot camp outside the army?
I've always called it boot camp.
Okay, let's imagine your first couple weeks in the military. Your boot camp. I'm going to use my civilian quotes there. You were entirely off balance. Like there is nothing more going on in your life than wake up, get your shit done, go to bed, do it over again the next day. If my learnings of boot camp are correct, like there's very much an extremely off balance time that has a purpose. There's a reason behind that. There's also an end to it. You're not going in thinking that that's going to be 4 years of your life. There is an end to it, and that all I think that sort of going off balance is okay. And realizing if you are a little bit off balance, you know what? Like if you don't get to spend enough time with your family, in your estimation, because that's your own reckoning, because of your job. But maybe your job allows you to provide for your family in a way that spending a few more hours a week, like financially, would be a big difference. If that's a trade off that you're happy with, and I mean like truly not like happy, but like that coincides with you and your core. Like for me, I would rather work harder to provide a better life for my family than eat dinner with them. Um, but that's me. And knowing that you can find your own balance in your own way, um, just take that confidence that it's always a journey. We're all not a single one of us is sitting on top of a mountain with people climbing 1,000 steps to ask of our wisdom. We're all a work in progress.
Absolutely. A continuous one. We're continuously evolving and changing. Excellent. Thank you. Zero, you bring up a very good point about refilling your own cup. I had seen what you had read or what you had typed in the text chat. Yeah, balance. It's hard to keep that balance if you're continuously giving up that part of you, that energy or whatever you want to call it, and there you have to take that time out to recharge, whatever that is for you. And for some people, again, it goes back to for some it's gaming. Some of folks is going to be going out on a bike ride out there in the hills, camping. I mean, like I love camping, and my friend and I, we just got our veterans pass to the state parks, and we're going to go camping a lot. At least I plan on camping a lot because I enjoy being out there, and that's just one of my ways of just kind of clearing my mind, getting a little bit closer, back close to nature again, and just kind of, recharging. I mean, I have several different ways of doing that, but this is going to be one of them that I'm excited to do. And I think that's important. And that excitement of just finding and then implementing those ways to find that balance and to fill that cup up. So, Zero, I appreciate that. Um, let's see, we got 6-9 here. The lack of balance is designed to reprogram one's mind, showing that being off balance for too long can reprogram you in a negative manner unintentionally. That's very interesting idea. Sure. If you're constantly having some kind of internal conflict, it's going to change you. I mean, the plasticity of the brain, that's a big word, but basically what it means is that the brain is always changing its shape. Like here, we got the frontal lobe, the ventral medial prefrontal cortex is like right here. All of these things can change depending on your attitude, your behaviors. Sometimes it's physical trauma, like a head injury, but it changes. And so when a person is constantly um, ruminating, constantly thinking the worst out of life, it's going to cause chemical changes of the brain. So that's very true. Um, but the beautiful thing about it is that you can change it. It's reversible. I mean, with the exception of like physical brain damage, I imagine it's reversible and it can be moved. So someone who has PTSD are going to have certain areas of the brain that's enlarged and certain areas of the brain that has shrunk. Well, that can be changed. That's not permanent. Um, so yeah, so it's important to understand that, you know, you might have this challenge right now, but it doesn't have to be that way indefinitely. And that's what it all boils back to. Um, the mindfulness, the balance, and the guts and the courage to go out there and get the help that you need. So what we're going to be doing in subsequent streams is we're going to dive deeper and deeper into mental health issues. And the first one that's coming up is going to be about PTSD. And I'm bringing this up early because I want to make sure that it gets the word out that we're going to be talking about not only just it itself, like the symptoms, but the history of it. And I think a lot of people are it's gonna really raise some eyebrows with people because this thing has a long history of it. It's not just something that was just boom instantly here when the DSM put it in there in the 1980s. Um, so let's take a look at the questions. Cuddles, you see any good questions out there?
Actually, Sergeant Wobbles and several others are talking about. This isn't really a question, but hey, guys, PSA.
Mm.
Washington State gives disabled vets a lifetime pass to all state parks and free camping. And if you have 100% disability through the VA, you have access to all state parks for free. That's actually really cool, guys. Get out there. Go
Hell
enjoy
yeah!
your state parks.
Like here in
Also,
Washington, you just have to have a disability rating, and you're good to go.
I'd like to say a special hello to Walking Dead, who we met over the weekend at PAX East, and
Hey, walking.
super cool guy. Um, my wedding is at a state park. What do you
Nice.
got? Oh, Strigeth, what do you got? Um, I'm scrolling up. I'm scrolling up. I'm going up. I'm
Oh,
not seeing it. I'm sorry.
well, while Cuddles is looking for it, or you're retyping it, I want to let you folks know that we really encourage input. So if there's a topic that's not included that you feel that would be a benefit, just let me know, and we'll make sure to put that on there. If you see something that was missed, I'm always open to improving the content of these streams. There's just two things that it has to have. It's got to have some kind of structure, obviously, and it's got to be open for it to and inclusive of everybody. And so I want to make sure that if you have any questions or something like that, you just let me know, and we'll throw it on there and we'll take that into consideration. Okay, so Michelle's got, or Cuddles, did you find the question?
Yes. All right. And hold on. I'd like a confirmation. Strikeout. Is this okay to read out? Because he did just send that to me on Discord. I just want to make sure that he is okay with me reading this since it is in a DM. Okay, cool. Um, I had planned on going to PAX East, but when the day came, I was hit by a sudden wave of depression
Mm.
and found I couldn't even get out of bed. I've been streaming since December, about 30 hours a week. And as the channel has grown, I've been putting 110% of myself into it. But I think all of the expectations of people, the stress of going to the event, and everything else just hit me all at once, and I just didn't go. I ended up playing Elite by myself all day, being miserable. Do you ever have days like that, or was that something out of the norm? Um, I will speak, and then I'll kick it over to Frag. Yeah, dude, like hell yeah. I've never done it with a con, um, but I also put myself in a situation where I can't. Like I stay with Stack Up. The one con that I did go to by myself, like I don't think I got there to like one or two most days. Partially because um I like to sleep, but I think part of that was just me kind of getting over the hump of my social anxiety for the day, and being, getting together that bravery that to actually just walk out the door. That's definitely been a big struggle for me. I know I Orlando. There's an Orlando WoW meetup that I haven't been to in like 6 months, because that's one of the events that like it's entirely on me to go to, right? Like I don't, it's not a Stack Up thing. It's not something that I have a reason I have to be at, other than I absolutely love those people and they're awesome. Um, but I always talk myself out of it, and I always come up with some reason. And much like you, I'll end up sitting around like playing Hearthstone all night or something, and I'll feel miserable and silly about it. And it's a thing, man. You're not alone in that. That's I
No.
I can't give you any advice as to fixing it because I'm still dealing with it, but you're not alone. And I'll hand it over to Frag.
Yeah, you're totally not alone. I see this happening all the time with the clients that I would see. I mean, we've all been there. You know, it just drags on you. You're like, I don't even know if I want to get out of bed. You know, and for some folks, I mean, everybody has a different way to motivate them to get moving. Sometimes it's just like, okay, I need to get up, take care of the kids, get the family going. You need to make dinner. You know, there's various different reasons. And I would also, when it comes to the social engagements, like if there's that hesitation too, I mean, again, I have clients who have been in the same place. I would ask them. I said, "Let me ask you something. Was there something in the past, as an example, that you can use where you went to a an engagement on your own and you were able to overcome that obstacle of that social anxiety?" And because in most cases, most folks have at least one example. And if they don't, then I would always say, well, what would that look like for you? How would you know you are walking into this place and that anxiety is gone? You know? And so we would start there to explore, because sometimes it's not just depression, it's those the brain saying, kind of brain is messing with you, saying, oh, if you go there, people are going to ridicule you, they're going to look at you, they're going to think that you're weird, you stick out like a sore thumb. All these little scripts that our brain can come up with to try to discourage us from taking that chance. And so I would always explore with clients, well, is it just depression, or is there some kind of other um, reason attached to it? And so that's kind of the reason why again, I try to look at the bigger picture. Um, let's see here, looking through here. Yeah, Betty. I mean, I don't like planes. I can't stand planes. And you're kind of packed in like sardines. Everybody's sweating on you. You got no room. Everybody. I have yet to have met somebody who really enjoys flying, unless maybe they're a pilot or something like that. And a lot of people have actual issues with just being on the plane. I mean, that's why some folks get sedated before they go on there. For me, it's just really uncomfortable being on there. Um, yeah, planes suck. When you keep hearing all of these, oh, I shudder to think about it. They keep changing the seats. where you have less and less leg room. And I just maybe one day I'll just start doing road trips to go everywhere. Cuddles, what do you got?
What's the thing? Until we come up with another viable location, stuck in those little skinny aluminum tubes flying throughout. Ugh. No, I am a pilot, and I do very much enjoy flying a plane. I do not enjoy being herded like cattle into a. Anyway, I'm not gonna get into my big rant about the airline industry. Um, there you go.
Stack up bus.
Zero. Yes. PAX Unplugged. This is from Jay, 0 Hour Hero. One of the dudes at the con wanted to meet at the end of his shift for drinks. He was working console free play. I went to the area 15 minutes early, sat down, freaked out, and ghosted, apologizing later. He thought I just didn't actually want to hang, but I leveled with him about my PTSD and anxiety. I now play D&D with him on Roll20 on Saturdays.
Right on.
There you go, guys. I actually, like, quite frankly, I had a really weird professional interaction here in a meeting recently, and it was because of my anxiety and because of my just my general social awkwardness. I don't know if we can label that up with my mental health or I'm just weird. But no, it was had this like kind of weird interaction. Called back and actually apologized about it, and I was like, "Sorry, you caught me at a bad time." It was kind of, and now it looks like we may be doing something together. So
Nice.
I think being able to what I wanted to pull out of 0 Hour's story is the fact that the apologized later. Um, whatever we have um our own mental struggles that we go through, be aware of them. I think Elvis mentioned self realization earlier in chat. But yeah, no, just um, being able to realize your own little weird,
Yeah.
um, and realize how that affects your social encounters and adjust for it. Um, it's something, and I'm gonna kick this over to Frag because it looks like Walking Dead Bigfoot has a nice comment for us.
Yeah. Walking Dead put down. Finally, I got the guts to go. Oh, hold on. PAX East was my first event since combat over 35 years ago. Finally, I got the guts to go, and Stack Up helped me with my PTSD TBI. I found myself talking to the guys and forgetting all about the panic attack. I still look at the photos of me at PAX, and I can't believe I went. But all the guys and girls at Stack Up are like being there with your unit. You just fit in and find yourself with family. Well, that's great. That's very encouraging. And if you think about it, Walking Dead, you just gave a really clear example. Now you have a past example that you have the capability of going to these social engagements and enjoying your time and being able to let go of that anxiety, of that worries. Keep that with you, man, and keep those ideas and those thoughts and those feelings with you, so that when the next time it presents itself, you can say, "Hey, I had a damn good time with Stack Up. This is not much different. I'm gonna enjoy myself." That's kind of exactly what I was talking about, for example wise. So I appreciate you disclosing that. 6 9. I would love to see a show on how traumatic brain injury affects mental health. I agree, and that's going to be included because it's a very important topic, and it's not just again, it's not just service members, but people who have had traumatic brain injuries, like football players and or boxers, or just anyone who's had some kind of an injury, are facing this dilemma. So that's a good idea. I'll put that in there. Thank you. Um, let's see.
I just went out to Tampa to the free play. No hook because I'm owning it. The feeling is great. And I have to apologize, Walking Dead. I was exhausted. We actually shared the same flight home. Oh, and Kelly, our good friend Kelly. I love what Stack Up brings to events in the community. I've even personally felt better and more relaxed by talking with your community members when I've been running around and been in an anxiety attack. Thanks for all that you do. Kelly, no, thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. That was really nice. I appreciate that.
Um, wow, no, you just took the words out of me. Thank you.
Yeah, that was wonderful. Beautiful. Thank you. Okay, so any more questions or thoughts or something along those lines? We got maybe if we're gonna go for the full 2 hours, we got about little over 30 minutes left of this stream tonight. Again, I wanted to thank everybody who came out here to hang out and put your questions out there and to just be part of this program. Again, this is kind of groundbreaking stuff. We've never done anything like this before. And seeing all the interactions here in the chat is really encouraging, and I really appreciate seeing that because, I'm here to do this for you guys, for the community, for the Twitch community, and it's important for me to make sure I get again get that feedback. Okay, Elvis or Draken said, "Stop is here for everyone, civilian and veterans. Mental health is for everyone. PTSD isn't a veteran-only term. That's true, and for a lot of folks, they think that it is, and that's just they're just wrongly educated on what PTSD is. It doesn't have to be just for military folks, but when we have the PTSD topic, I'll um, definitely include that. Michelle got a question. Where should people look for professional help? Well, we are going to have another stream about that, but I'm going to give you guys a quick idea. Okay, so here's what I've always told folks. If you're a veteran, see if you got the VA, if you can access the VA. There's the mental health side of the VA. There's the vet centers. They're part of the VA, but they're separate, if that makes sense. They're the ones who can see active duty personnel. If you're a civilian, of course, it's a little bit more gray because then there's insurance, there's no insurance, um, and so it becomes kind of hard to navigate through now. But because like some places will take it, some places won't. Um, the next option, if that doesn't work, and it's going to be kind of hard to find, when I was in my master's program, when I was in my last 2 semesters of my program, we were providing counseling services to civilians who signed up for it, and it's a free service at that point. And so I always say, well, if you can afford it, and a lot of agencies, a lot of private practices will take things on a sliding scale based on your income. I mean, I've seen people being charged as little as $5 an hour. Pretty reasonable. But if that still doesn't work for you, there is the option of seeking out a university that has a master's program or a PhD program and who can help you with those services for free. There's always it really varies by location, and it really depends on what you have personal access to. But I hope that helps answers that question.
Well, and I will say, if there's somebody in here tonight that's looking for that, that you're looking to make the transition into a more structured type of mental health help, please, 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 reach out to somebody on the Stop Squad.
Yes.
We don't have a, as far as I know, we don't have a canned answer for that, but we're here to help. Um, and so reach out if you would like to, guys. I'm the same thing um, on Twitter as I am here. Feel free to reach out. My DMs are open. Also, I would like to pause for one moment and special shout out to a member of our stream team, um, a gentleman that has actually joined the chat um, from his deployment. Hopefully, I'm not getting anybody in trouble. But Sepran coming and saying hi. Thank you so much. I'm loving your Discord right now. He has a little Discord for the Stack Up community. If you'd like to follow his journey, he's been dropping like little stories and little like notes. It's all been really cool. So make sure you throw some love. And this is what the power of this community is able to offer. We got folks that haven't served, like hi me. We have folks that are literally currently serving in our chat. Not like, oh yeah, I'm active and I got to go back to base tonight. Like, no, yeah, he's on the other side of the world. I think that's pretty cool. We have a lot of folks coming together here, and yeah, no, let us help you if you're looking for a little bit more structured mental health right now.
Absolutely. And just to recap on that, thank you, Cuddles. We have a staff here that's been trained. They have taken online training. We also make it mandatory that they do what we call an oral review, where they're going to be tested as far as how do they approach someone who's in crisis. We want to make sure that we have well trained folks. So these guys have and gals have put a tremendous amount of effort into this program. This program would be nothing without them. And so again, if you need something, this is the place to come. You know, we got the staff, we got the trained staff here, we got the moderators. You know, let this be, in a sense, maybe part of your support system. You know, we will always look forward to seeing you in stream, and you know, this is the place to go and hang out. You know, just kind of hang out, open your mind, and just kind of give us your input. You know.
Right on. Well, I don't have anything else. We could keep on reading chat messages for like another hour or two because this is fun.
Yeah. There. All right. Cami brings up a very important message, and we'll start winding down soon. One of us are here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If anyone would like to talk, that is a big deal. That is a huge, huge note to understand that you know it might take a little while for them to get to you, but I mean I'm not talking like hours, but I'm talking like they gotta get themselves together, but they're there. There's somebody there, and again the awesome powers of Discord, um, and this program allows us to do something like that. Okay, Betty or Steph said, side note, Elvis and I will be in the Washington, D.C. this week for the American Association of Suicidology 51st Annual Conference. We will be presenting the Stop Initiative on Wednesday, the 18th from noon to 12:45. Yes, that's going to be exciting. That's going to help push this program even further. So this is good things coming down the line, guys. This stream is going to evolve. I'm going to have videos, cheesy homemade videos. My wife said that she would help me out, so that's going to be great. We're going to have more guest speakers. We'll have guest speakers involved so that we pull in people who are out there in the field of different areas who can give their 2 cents. You know, this is just the beginning. And if you enjoyed it now, stick around. I think you're going to really enjoy what we have to offer down the road. Okay, so any last questions before we start to wrap things up? I'm seeing a lot of cool hype icons. All right. So again, I appreciate everyone who watched us tonight. Oh, okay. So how does one get a hold of the Stop Squad? Elvis, can you answer that question? I think you're best to answer. There you go. There's that link. Right. I appreciate it, Six. It's good to make sure that because I'm gonna forget. I'd forget about it.
Also, Walking Dead Bigfoot. Thank you so much, man.
Very nice. I
This guy,
appreciate it.
this guy walked up to our booth and dropped a fat dono on us while we were there. Little IRL dono. Sorry guys, I'm going into Twitch talk here. He donated to us in real life, and also just dropped a massive amount of bits. And oh my gosh, man, that's beautiful. Just thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Walking Dead, I need to reach out to you too. I owe you an email. I'm sorry, you're on my list. I love you. Unless I already did. Which then why haven't you responded to me? I'm not slightly suffering from the PAX box and confusion at the point at this moment. But I will talk to you soon. And thank you for that. And thank you to everybody that hung out today. This was wonderful for a an inaugural show.
Absolutely. Couldn't ask for anything better or less. This is perfect.
Oh yeah, no, this was wonderful. And guys, there will be a regular schedule posted about this show as soon as we figure one out. Um, but it will always live here on twitch.tv/stackup.org. Make sure that you are following the channel. You can also follow us over on Twitter at stackup.org, same thing as we are here. And that's going to be the best place to find out about anything that's coming up, including the Psi-Stream.
Absolutely. All right, folks. I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap things up. Ooh, Michelle, you just subscribed. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Uh, 0 hour. Thank you, man. I appreciate you hanging out with us tonight. And
Well, and before we get out of here, Frago, where can people find you? Like on
oh,
your Twitter, your Twitch, stuff like that.
here you go. Thank you. Appreciate it. Uh-oh. Moderators, can you let that through? Can Let me try that again. Let me know when I can put the link in. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's hilarious. Um,
There we go. Thank you.
there
I
we go.
I appreciate it. All right, so that's my personal stream channel. I do stream video games, of course. It's going to be, various different games. Just give me a follow, and I appreciate it. And we will talk to you guys later. And you guys have a great night, and I can't wait to see what happens next. All right, everyone, you have a good night. Appreciate it.